2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. You could turn $10 into $250. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/fan and use code FAN. That's code FAN at prizepicks.com/fan.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
It's the Beatcheck, folks. The Beatcheck, Wednesday night, C3 Panthers Podcast, the longest running Panthers podcast. Been around since 2013, chopping it up every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. But guess what? It's Wednesday night where we put our ear to the street and try to find, actually, we find a beat reporter. We cycle because we don't want to use too much of their time, right? So we cycle through every one of them. We'd be begging them to come up here. And we got Nick Carboni tonight, folks. We got Nick. He'd be in there asking the questions on the Zoom. I know. I that's what I want to ask the most of is if I'm going to ask any beat reporter, Cody, about the beat, I want to know 2 things. Is the Zoom world sorry when it comes to reporting? And 2, we always ask about David Newton. We can't ask that one. We can't ask the David Newton question. We do. I'm asking it to Cody. I won't ask it to Nick. I'm here with my co-host, Cody Lashney. How you doing, bro?
Tony Dunn, I'm doing wonderful, man. This is the C3 Beat Check, where we check the beat with Panthers beat reporters, bringing you the latest news and information on this team that we so love and we so cherish. Tony Dunn, we have our normal faithful crew in the building already. AJ Lindsay, Tim Stellings, Tim Estes, Muscle Marinara, the real Zero Chill, my man Justin. Tony Dunn, it's Wednesday. Let's check the beat. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
We're here with Nick Carboni, sports director for WCNC, also affiliated with WFNZ. Nick, thanks so much for giving us a little time on your Wednesday night.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, guys. And luckily we're I don't know, half off of Zoom now. We get to actually go down there in person sometimes, but it's a weird, I almost like it better on Zoom because everybody has to raise their hand to get called on.
Oh, is there like, what is the pecking order? Like, how do you guys do that? Like, is it like I feel like you're on the stock market.
You're from
floor,
Boston?
like hoping, like, please. And then they'll be like, oh, wait. How do you get your questions in? Do you just
on the Zooms, if you raise your hand, they'll pretty much go. It shows it to them in that order, so you can pretty much just go. But in
the best student in the house.
Yeah. And in the interview room, it's, it defers to like the writers. And then I'm in the back with I got my tripod here and my camera. I shoot all that stuff myself. So if I feel like I can yell one from the back, I will, and I usually get 1 or 2 in. So it's a pretty tame room compared to other markets, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I am sure about that. We hear the conference calls get a little bit more complicated as you hit the bigger markets. But I saw this on Twitter today, Cody, is that Matt Rule was speaking fast and sweating. That's what they were talking about today. So the Panthers are coming off a loss. What was the score one more time?
21-18.
21-18, a heartbreaking loss. What's the environment been like, Nick, in this after week 5, which my co-host always says this is we learn about a team by week 6. So we're kind of learning about this team. We've had 2 losses in a row. I feel like fans are started to turn on people. People are starting to now question Sam Darnold. People are obviously questioning this offensive line. Is the honeymoon period is ending a little bit with Matt Rule? What's the temperature of the room, Nick?
Yeah, well, that's the other thing that's tough this year is we're still not in the locker room, and you can get such a read on the vibe of the team when you're in there after games and even during the week after a loss like this, and that's why a lot of the questions are geared to the guys like, hey, literally, what's it like in there? What's the mood? Because it can't be good after that game. I know Hassan Reddick came out and he composed himself, but the defense had to be really frustrated with the way they played for 57 of 60 football minutes, and to keep handing the ball back to the offense and handing the game back to the offense and not seeing the offense take advantage in any point of the football game. So I think there's a lot of frustration there. I think the mood is probably hopefully feeling some urgency this week, because this is a portion of the schedule that if you take care of business here, you could have a nice little record heading into the back half where we know it gets tougher, but hopefully you're kind of gaining that toughness and that, more importantly, that winning mentality and that winning edge and knowing how to win these games leading up until that point. So you're better positioned, and, having a little stumble here doesn't help you in that regard. So, I think they're kind of at a crossroads. I like you guys said, I mean, you start to find out who your team is at this point. You start to even digging into the numbers, when things start to kind of come back towards the mean of, even some of the defensive numbers, although I do think it's a good defense, you really start to balance out who you are at this point. So I think there's got to be a heck of a lot of urgency. You just blew a game at home. You have a beatable team in town, a tougher team, I think, than the Eagles, although maybe you gave them some confidence. But you've got to win.
They were thumping their chest after that game, bro.
And they came in, right?
Man.
They came in like, how did they have any confidence after what they've gone through? So they got it right back here in Carolina. And if you're the Panthers, you can't let another team come in and do that.
Nick, this past recent press conference with Matt Rule, and I'll just say it to you the way many Panther fans took it. They took it as though Matt Rule was placing the majority of the blame on the defense for not stopping the Philadelphia Eagle comeback rather than their offense that played absolutely abysmally. A terrible performance from Sam Darnold, another terrible performance from this offensive line. Did those comments from Matt Rule come off to you guys in the media like it did to fans? Because it really did kind of rub a lot of fans the wrong way after what many of us view as a pretty good defensive performance against Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'd say it's another above average performance. You can only stop a team so many times in a game before, if they think that they can win that game, they're going to break through. So I don't know, that's tough. I would be more concerned with how the players took it. And we haven't heard any players say what the hell, coach? But again, we're not in the locker room. We get who they put out there in that podium and in the Zoom room. So I think he definitely probably feels a lot better about his defense if you asked him point blank and in a non-media setting right now than he does about his offense.
It was a smokescreen, dude.
Yeah,
a smokescreen.
I think he's trying to just, not let things start to like get like that in the locker room where
what's he going to come out and say?
Offense,
is he going to come out and say the offensive line is stinky? It smells like a
I just think
it's got to play better. Like, he can't say those things. This is what I do is I have 3 kids. My oldest 13, boy, smart, man. Like, he's like he's more mature than his parents. I'm the hardest on him. Right. My wife always says this. She's like, stop being so hard on him, man. Like no wonder he don't want to talk to you. Well, this is the thing. The defense, we get to throw the defense under the bus in this game. And you shouldn't. And you know what? I just think he's coached with Phil Snow for 20 years or not, 10 years. Basically, like, he knows, he's like, Phil's like, oh, I'm not going to hurt this dude's feelings. And of course, Hassan Reddick at 8 sacks knows he's not the problem.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, like, I feel like this was more about protecting the offense.
I agree.
And their kind of emotions than it was about offending the defense. Let's talk about this offensive line, which has been offensive. I tell you this is as a Carolina Panthers fan, I'm used to seeing bad offensive lines. The problem with this offensive line is there's not one problem, though. There's 4 problems, and Taylor Moton is not the problem, but putting him on the left side might not be the best answer. Either way, is the line fixable? Is it going to get better? Is it what it is? And should we be upset? I don't even know what to say about this thing. It's like worse than when Byron Bell was the left tackle.
I think that the line has the ability to play better than it has the last 2 weeks, but where that ceiling isn't very high.
It's like 1 inch more.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously they were awful. I guess they're going to get Pat Elflein and Cam Irving back, but we've seen them be completely lost. I mean, it doesn't I don't know if it was even worse than some of the things we've seen from those 2 guys this past week. So they kind of just have to at this point. I mean, this is the line they rolled out there. This is the part of the roster where you go, oh yeah, this is the first year of the new GM. Now, could they have gone out and gotten better guys? Probably. Matt Rule's kind of started at being asked to explain why they got those 2 guys in particular this offseason. He was asked that today, and he can say all he wants about what they saw in those guys, but most people who watch football have seen those 2 guys in particular really struggle through the majority of their careers. So it's tough to watch.
That's messed up when you say the majority. Not even this year. The majority of
this
their
is who
career.
They were.
It's true. It's true.
And Moton on the left side, like, power to him for doing it. It just still looks like he's so much more comfortable on the right side after 50 plus starts. They've talked about it, like driving on the wrong side, opposite side of the road in a different country. I mean, there's some truth to that because, you're moving a different way. Like, the reaction time gets slower because of all of that. I don't think that's, I don't think they're going to want to do that again. And we'll see. It looks like Cam Irving is going to be back on the left side this week. So Scott Fitter said, playoffs. I mean, he said that word, but not with the O-line playing like it has the last 2 weeks. That's for sure.
So we try and bring the fan perspective here at the C3 podcast. And one of the things I find myself mentioning to every beat reporter that we interview is the name Deonte Brown. At a time when this offensive line continues to look so bad, every time Matt Rule is asked about it, it's always about, well, he's lost a good amount of weight and he's down and he's still competing to be, in the starting job. Is there any kind of inclination that at any point this year the Panthers might be willing to give him a start at either of the guard spots, left guard, right guard, considering that both of those positions are struggling so mightily? At what point do they turn to the younger guys on the roster and start to lean heavy on Deonte Brown and even more Brady Christensen?
Yeah, I think it would definitely be Brady Christensen if they start to lean on any of those young guys at all this year. I mean, it's a long season. Deontay Brown could progress to the point in their minds where he deserves to be in the rotation. But, I mean, the big leap for him through 5 weeks was being active last week. He wasn't ahead of that. I mean, you know, I got to think if they thought he could help them, he'd be out there. For whatever reason, he is in the point in him being a project. And I know fans don't want to hear that because they get really excited about that guy, and they should, not just because of what he looks like, but how he played at Alabama. But for whatever reason, he hasn't progressed to the point in him being their project that they want to put him out there in these situations. So, I mean, I don't know. I know people wanted to see Brady Christensen. They saw him. I don't think it blew me away. Like, I don't think it's always just like, yeah, they're going to be awesome, and I don't know. I mean, if they eventually play Deontay Brown and he's a road grader, then we can really start to ask the question. But I feel like if he was where they wanted him to be, he would at least be playing a little bit
with a hat.
Yeah, even if it's not a full game, even if it's not a full game, because that's obviously part of the problem is weight and conditioning. But what can he give you for 20 snaps, 15 snaps here and there? It takes away from the offensive line continuity, but maybe he's really good in one portion of the game and not the other. The other part of it is the versatility. It looks like he is just a guard, so maybe that has given them some pause of elevating him to the active roster. But he's a player I'm still excited to see eventually. I just, it doesn't sound like they think he's ready at all.
Yeah.
We do this show, which we recorded right before this, and we're gonna drop right after this. It's called Debate My Take, and we were debating about the worst team that you would want to play with, and I argued the Giants because of Dave Gettleman, and I was a big giant Dave Gettleman fan. How about that? There's a play on words. When he was here, until I wasn't a Dave Gettleman fan. Has it been fun covering Scott Fitterer? Like, has it made it exciting? Because for Panther fans, like we're sitting here trying to, we get a injury at a position, JC Horn goes down, and we go, you know what? The customary Panther fan says this is, can't wait till next year. It's gonna be awesome. This GM, I feel like, man, there's news every day. There's news every day. Has it been fun covering Scott Fitterer, and what do you think about him?
Yeah, well, last week I tweeted that I didn't think Gilmore was coming to the Panthers, and then I went to walk my dog, and I came back to like a ratio like 20 mentions because they traded for him, of course. Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's like draft night. You can barely keep up with the guy. They have a need. They fill it if they can. Obviously, we could talk all day about how they haven't done that, the position we just talked about on the offensive line, but what I really like about Fitterer is his pedigree and the amount of work he put in for a decade in Seattle where they did that. So that was part of David Tepper hiring Scott Fitterer, I got to believe, was like, hey, like, we're going to be aggressive. And he's kind of got that green light from David Tepper just walking in the door and I'm sure discussed in the interview. And we know what they did in Seattle. They built a heck of a defense. They found a franchise quarterback in the 3rd round. Their offensive line, though, was never really all that good.
No.
They got to a Super Bowl with it, but, that's been the issue there, too. So that's like one of the things I'm like, oh, yeah. But, like, I mean, I've got to believe somebody as smart as Scott Fitterer seems knows that you need to have a stout offensive line to get to where you want to go. So we'll see what happens with that. It's obviously in his first year not been made a humongous priority aside from the deal to Taylor Moton. But I would really think next year that would be a massive priority in all phases of the offseason. It just sounds like they're going to roll these guys and hope that everybody else around them can lift.
What can you do at this point, right? I mean, really.
No, at this point, it's just guys got to play better. I mean, Pat Meyer is the O-line coach, and they've been even for some of these guys who we've talked about haven't had good careers. There's been moments where they've played worse than that, and that's to me is like unacceptable. I mean, they've played worse than the whole reason to bring them in was like we see this, we see that. and we think we can coach to this. And when it
didn't turn
doesn't
out to
work,
be
it
that.
looks really bad, and it has a huge effect.
Nick, essentially we're trying to stop the hemorrhaging on our offensive line at this point. We brought up Austin Pleasance to the practice squad.
Which is a
big time 6'8", 328-pound guy. But we also know that Scott Fitterer was in on the calls of potentially trying to trade for more offensive line help, and just teams weren't willing to bite even for their backups. Do you think that the Panthers are still in contention to make another move to try and bring some help in on the offensive line? Or are they just going to stick to their guns and go, for better or worse, we like these guys in free agency. We brought them in. We're going to roll with Irving and Elflin and just kind of continue this revolving door.
If the Panthers can overcome that and say those guys don't play to a level that's acceptable, but the Panthers are overcoming it and they're winning and McCaffrey comes back and things are looking like, yes, this is still a playoff push of a team, well, other teams are going to drop out of that race, and maybe then they'll be willing to part ways with somebody. Maybe then, before a trade deadline, Scott Fitterer will be able to make that move finally with somebody, and maybe not get an all-pro, but get somebody that can come in here and, play to a, serviceable plus level.
Sure.
And we've seen him make some shrewd deals. We've seen Samir Suleiman, the cap guy, be part of that. So I certainly don't think that phone is down. I mean, I've got film of Scott Fitterer from our cameras on the sideline before the game on the phone. So, maybe he was talking to his kids. I don't know. But I think he is always going to be really active. And if he thinks that he can make a team better immediately when the goal is still playoffs and that's still in reach, I think he'll do it. So I think it could definitely happen. I mean, I follow the trade deadline more, I guess, in other sports like baseball. And that's kind of like where you get to a point where you start to say, like, okay, who's the buyer? Who are buyers? Who are sellers? If the Panthers are still buyers, there's going to be some sellers out there too.
We're hanging out with Nick Carboni, sports director for WCNC. Nick, we brought in, or let's say this, is Matt Rule, Joe Brady, this tandem. Now, we're not going to go down the Joe Brady talk yet, but they brought in quarterback after quarterback, right? So they cut Cam Newton, pulls at the heartstrings of Carolina Panther fans that we all love Cam Newton. Like, you can't say bad things about Cam Newton around me, that type of thing. But then we bring in Teddy Bridgewater. We automatically dislike Teddy Bridgewater because he's not Cam Newton. Signed to a 3-year deal with Marty Herney. The problem with the Teddy Bridgewater deal for me is not Teddy Bridgewater, but how long the deal was. So then we rip the Band-Aid off. See you later. We bring in Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold through 5 games now. I took a lot of heat, on this podcast, on the post-game show after the Houston game. I was hard on Sam Darnold, and everybody's like, oh my God, you should be the next coming. Like, they were all pumped about Sam Darnold. 2 weeks later, everybody is turning on Sam Darnold. He did have 3 interceptions. Look, he was a big part of the problem we lost in this point. What do you think about Sam Darnold and his connection to the Rule legacy? Is it a Rule legacy at this point? Is Sam Darnold hitched to their wagon, or is Sam Darnold a part that could work and could be cast aside?
I mean, if it doesn't work out, I don't necessarily think Rule is gone. He had a long contract with David Tepper, but I do think it's a hit for him,
right?
Like legacy-wise, but with David Tepper, hey, this is 2 now.
One more fail.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. I mean, you only have so many swings and misses and chances to get this right. And I think, bringing Sam in and kind of replacing Teddy with Sam and working all of that out, it gives them basically the same dollar figure for the next few years, but with probably a higher ceiling. The problem with Sam is, when is he going to shake the bad habits? And we thought we saw it coming out of training camp, the first couple of games, going through progressions, finding the right receivers, hit a deep ball to Robbie Anderson in the first game. I mean, it looked like a completely different quarterback. Now, once he faced some real, I mean, and it was excessive, the pressure last week.
Right.
And a lot of quarterbacks would have struggled somewhat. But I'd go back and look at some of the interceptions. The first one he had out of the back of the end zone, I mean, he telegraphed that. He's just made some, and one of them in Dallas at least. They're both great plays by Diggs, but one of them at least was a throw that Darnold completely shouldn't have made. He should have made a different throw. So you've seen him kind of regress to not processing and forcing. And that was his whole issue coming in. And when is he going to be able to shake that? And will
you worry?
If he is,
right?
he can be awfully good.
Fans worry at everything, and we are fans. We're fanatics. Like, that's our whole point. We come up here and we say this over and over. We're not journalists. We're just expert football fans. We're not even football experts. We're just expert football fans. That's our whole job, is to freak out, and fans freak out about everything. When's the freak out point? Is it because I actually don't think I was hard on him after this game, and look, he sucked. It was his worst game. I'm not ready to write it off. Like, I don't actually still think there's a lot of potential with Sam Darnold going down the road. When is the time that should we be freaking out? I mean, is this a regression? Is it just a bad couple of weeks and a bad offensive line? Is he getting better? What should we think about him?
I mean, I think overall this year he's been better than he has been in the past. But this last weekend makes you stop and say, okay, why are those old habits really coming back? I think he just, he got hit in the mouth early. That pressure really accumulated on him.
And we're passing the ball like crazy.
More, I've got to do a lot more to not even get him back in the game, and they were leading, but to
that's the problem.
To cash in some points on some of what the defense was doing. So, I asked him today about how does a quarterback overcome pressure, and his first sentence was, "I've still got to be aggressive," which I thought was interesting.
Right.
But then he talked about finding the leak out. McCaffrey hasn't been there. They traded Darnold. Is Tommy Tremble like a leak out, like safety valve tight end? Probably not right now. So you've got to be able to mitigate the pressure a little bit, somewhat. You've got to be able to overcome that somewhat. The best quarterbacks in the NFL do it. But I also look at the pressure last week and say that was pretty darn excessive. But you can't make the mistakes that he made in the frequency that he made them. That absolutely caused the loss. I mean, the 3 picks, and they were all, just New York Jets, Sam Darnold picks.
Yeah. Yeah, and Nick, that has me wondering something that a lot of fans have been wondering, and I'm going to kind of tether these two questions together and just let you answer it however you'd like to. How long is the leash on Sam Darnold before they start exploring other options? And is it possible that one of those other options could still be Deshaun Watson?
So I think that if Sam Darnold has a poor year, like average, but mostly below average, they're going to take a hard look. I think they'll look around anyway. Like, where do they land in the draft? Like, who's available? Their cap space, they're healthy, according to Scott Fitterer. So unless Sam Darnold gets back to what he was the first 3 weeks and carries that through 17 weeks, I think that's always going to be something they look at. And with Deshaun Watson, I mean, to me, it's a timeline thing right now. His legal stuff doesn't resolve, in any meaningful way, and it could not resolve at all in terms of like whether he's going to play in the NFL again. But just like legally, the timeline is after this year's Super Bowl. So there's really nothing you can do right now except, plan maybe what your move would be if everything clears up somehow and he's available. I really don't think that that's going to happen. I thought they would have really been aggressive with that before all the stuff hit in Houston. But I mean, it's tough for me to see Carolina as a destination for him anymore unless somehow, some way things really clear up in a criminal way. I mean, that's the point that they're at with that right now. But in terms of going to get that next quarterback, like unless Sam like really has, I'll say, an above average year, unless he has people talking like he did the first 2 or 3 weeks, I think that's always going to be something they're looking at. I mean, Matt Flynn was the starting quarterback in Seattle when they picked some guy in the 3rd round, and all of a sudden all you hear is like, oh, hey, they're going to start that guy now. Well, what about Matt Flynn? He's got a big contract. Like, so to them, it doesn't matter. Whoever they can find.
And they don't have a big contract with Sam.
Exactly.
They don't have a big
It's
contract.
manageable, especially in that second year, and because of the cap flexibility that they're going to have and the increased salary cap. So I would, I know I said it like 4 times in this answer, but I really believe it. Like, unless he is like above average for the entire season, and that's what he shows he can be in the NFL, then they're going to at least try to bring somebody else in.
I think if he's the Sam Darnold through weeks 1 through 3, we're feeling pretty comfortable with the price and the opportunity with him.
Yeah.
But it was tough. Look, I'm not turning my back on him yet. I haven't been a lover. I'm not in love with the dude yet. Like, he's got to prove a lot.
I think that's a good place to be. I mean, he had a rating of like 99 the first 3 weeks. That's, slightly above average, I think. And, we'll see if he can get back to that or maybe do even better if he gets more comfortable and starts to like really eliminate some of these habits. And he needs the time to do it. I mean, I'm not giving him too many excuses.
Yeah. I mean, we can't turn 1 week is like, let's get through the season. We'll talk about that. But look, the Minnesota Vikings have been a problem for the Carolina Panthers for a while.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think this was the game. Michael Orr, when he got the concussion, was against the Minnesota Vikings. In 2016, we had the 2 block punts or the kicks against. They've just been a thorn in our side for a minute. Now we're coming off of 2 losses. I really feel like the Philly loss was one that we needed to win. Like, I mean, it was a game I just felt like it was a winnable. Like, it's like one of those you need a notch on the schedule. You're supposed to win that game. You don't. It's a big win for Philly, right? Like, Philly, they came out thumping their chest. The Vikings come in to Carolina to Bank of America. And now I think my buddy just told me that they're favored now.
I've seen it swing a few times at this point.
Right. Is that originally I thought we were favored by a point. Now they're favored by a point. They have a ton of sacks. They have more sacks than we do on defense. But they've had a tough road themselves. Right. They've had some games that they could have won, maybe should have won against good competition. They've played one of the toughest schedules in the league. Kirk Cousins, look, they have an offensive firepower. They got Dalvin Cook. They got a lot of pieces here. How important is this game, Nick, for the Carolina Panthers, and how tough is it?
Yeah, I think it's very important. Like I said, it's another home game against a team that, if you're not favored, you're not a dog by too much in this game. I mean, the line is right around 1 in either direction. It's another NFC team that's going to be trying to get that wild card spot. I mean, these teams could be grouped together towards the end. They could both be out. Who knows? But they are a defensive-minded, conservative called team through Mike Zimmer and even through their offensive coordinator in Kubiak. You look at the players they have on offense and you're wondering why they're not scoring 30 points a game. I mean, I think their average is actually less than Carolina's. They've played some good teams, but they played a Cleveland team that gave up 48 points to the Chargers. They scored 7 points against Cleveland. They played the Lions, who were the Lions. They scored 19 points. A lot of conservative offensive mindset and thinking in that building. They can ug up some games. They can play the 18, 19-point games like Carolina just did and lost. Defensively, it's like you talk about them being a thorn in your side. Like, looking at the roster again and you're like, really? Griffin?
Right. I know. And these guys got 97 sacks.
Yeah.
Like, how?
Those guys are still there. Griffin is like, all of a sudden, he's like, bam, he's back to his old self. Yeah. Anthony Barr is back after a long injury. So, they've got some pieces on defense. I don't think they're necessarily a very, dominant defense. But if Carolina's O-line plays the way it's played, especially last week against this defensive front, they're going to have the same issues across the board. And if McCaffrey doesn't play, it's going to compound it like it did last weekend. So, they've definitely got the horses coming in here and the talent coming in here to, humble Carolina yet again. So that's why it's important for Carolina to come out. I thought the defense came out motivated last week. I hope the offense and the line comes out motivated after last week. Can they all put it together for 4 quarters against the Vikings?
AJ, booyaka.
Yeah. You actually mentioned a point that leads me into my next question. Are we indeed the Carolina Christian McCaffreys? Because I'm starting to kind of feel like maybe we are. My take going into the Philadelphia game was if we needed our running back to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, then our chances this year probably aren't very good anyway. For as good as Christian McCaffrey is, with the kind of weapons that they have with DJ Moore and Terrace Marshall and Robbie Anderson, but seeing as how our offensive line is just so terrible in pass protection, it really does seem like they're kind of DOA when Christian McCaffrey isn't on the field. So I've heard that there's a 50% chance that he'll be able to play against Minnesota, 50 that he won't. It's still up in the air right now. How much of our chances for success hinge upon Christian McCaffrey's availability this Sunday?
I think he's a player, and you hear about in other sports, and I don't know how often you really hear, if ever you hear it about a running back in football. He makes the team better just by being in there. He can make some of the plays that
Marshall
others can't.
Faulk, bro.
Yeah, and Chuba had a nice game last week, but he's a runner. They threw him a crossing pattern early and he dropped it. He got a little better with it, but Christian McCaffrey gives you 2 elements in one play. I mean, and it's also causing teams to, and they're not really blitzing. Like Philly didn't really blitz, but they're playing an extra guy at the line. They're playing 5-man bare front, and you can't do that with McCaffrey because you need somebody better to match up with him instead of just throwing like some poor linebacker on him. So it's affecting the way teams defend the Panthers, which when your line is overloaded and it's playing like it is in general, it gets overwhelmed. And the guy just has another gear. I mean, it's cliche to say it, but you guys have watched. You've literally seen it. I mean, the guy can,
he can make this offensive line that is offensive, that is actually worse at run blocking, look okay.
How about he might be our best pass protector?
Yeah, he's a great pass protector. Look at the Robbie Anderson touchdown against the Jets.
The rudest thing anybody's ever said.
It's not wrong.
I got this question for you, and it's kind of this is for the hardcore Panther fans. I know it's easy to just want to fire people, right? Like, I mean, that's the easy thing. It's almost like the Deontay Brown, Brady Christensen thing. Like, it's just easy to say, put these people in, it's going to work.
Yeah.
But at some point, man, maybe that is the answer. I don't know about firing coaches and who coach. Has anybody started to ask about these special teams? And is like who's, I guess, under more fire, Pat Meyer or Chase Blackburn? And the reason I ask this is because we used to hear that. What was our old offensive line coach, Cody Matsuka or whatever?
Oh, the older gentleman. Or are you talking
with Jet? He's with the Jets. Everybody they love this dude. Matsko. Yeah. Everybody used to be like, Matsko is the best offensive line coach in the history of the world. And I always thought this was the cutest thing that anybody said because our offensive line always sucked. I was like, man, we got the best offensive line coach or the worst offensive line ever. My question to you ultimately is the problems with the special teams have been, it's like to the point of us calling these timeouts in the first half with Matt Rule. like it's starting to get to the point. Like it's just like why we ain't got enough people on the field. We got too many people on the field. Like at any point do we start to? Is anybody ready to ask the question to Rule or Blackburn? What's going on here? And is like who's the answer for it?
Yeah, I mean, all those coaches that fall on the sword, that happens when a season really turns for the worse. So hopefully it doesn't get to that point. But
gotta kill Blackburn.
Obviously, early on the missed kicks were like glaring. But
sure, that's not his fault.
What also was happening was the protection wasn't, and I'm not saying all the missed kicks were on that, but the protection has kind of been a little leaky.
People and Rose said it several times.
They've had a field goal blocked. Now you have a punt blocked that allows Philly to take over inside the 30 and win the game. So there's a huge issue there. I mean, those guys were coached on that stunt that came up the middle, and they couldn't handle it, or they just weren't ready for it. So yeah, that's you're definitely looking at those two coaches right now, and those are the glaring issues. So those are the guys that are going to get brought up. I think there have been times where Chase Blackburn has done a nice job, but he's a holdover. I mean, he's Matt Lane's only guy.
Well, he re-interviewed though. He made it through the interview process.
Yeah, I think Rule certainly liked him as a young, kind of up and coming new coordinator. But if things continue this way with special teams, there's going to be change.
Somebody's got to fall on the sword.
Yeah,
Cody, we've taken a ton of Nick's time up, so you get the final question.
Yeah, well, I sort of alluded to it before we went live. I'm really interested in what your idea of some key matchups in this game against Minnesota is. I mentioned earlier when we were talking about these weapons that Minnesota has, and Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and Dalvin Cook, and is our defense going to be able to put up a performance similar to the first 3 weeks rather than what they did against Dallas and the end of the game against Philly? Will this Carolina defense be able to stem the Vikings push?
Yeah, I mean, this is, next to Dallas, the toughest receiving core they've faced so far. It's going to be the toughest receiving core they faced for at least a few more weeks. Dante Jackson's played really well this year. You would love to have J.C. Horn. You'd love to have Stephon Gilmore ready for this game, but that's just not the case. I think A.J. Boye is a tough player. He's going to play in that slot. We'll see what his kind of assignments are and who he's matched up on. So I like the guys that they have. I wish I would feel a little bit better about C.J. Henderson coming into this game. I mean, he's kind of coming along a little bit, and he's had some nice plays. He's gotten beat on other plays, and these are guys that can beat you. I mean, Kirk Cousins will find these guys all day, and they all have a catch percentage of like 70 to 75%. Jefferson and Thielen both score a lot. I think it looks like, Thielen's got 4 touchdowns. Jefferson's got 3. I think these guys find the end zone, and, their tight end is pretty good too. It's Tyler Conklin. I mean, he catches just about everything his way, and he can chew up some yards too. And they had trouble with that against the Cowboys, at least. I don't know if it's like a huge issue at this point, but those are guys that they're going to be good no matter who they face. So Dante Jackson and Boye and even Henderson are going to have to step up their game. And then running back, I mean, Cook has missed some time. He had one really big game, but Madison has been he's been pretty good. You got to watch.
And both of them fumbled though.
Yeah, and Madison does a little more in the pass game too. I mean, he's got some catches and he's caught just about everything his way. So
they've had some bad luck in Minnesota.
Well, the one thing that Minnesota hasn't done and is a source of frustration for their fans, so don't worry, other fan bases are frustrated too.
Right.
One thing that they've done is they've run a lot on passing downs, which is like their fans are like, dude, like we got all these guys, like what? Why are you not? I know they didn't practice, but we'll see. I know, I see that. We'll see about those guys. They might. We'll see if they don't play. I'm not there yet. At this point on a Wednesday, like I'm putting them in. So we'll see.
I lied. I have one more question.
Okay, no problem.
And my question is this: is if you could ask, not one question, but like if you could write what's one storyline if you didn't have like any limitations? And it don't need to be a hot take or something like, but we have to write to interest sometimes, is like, we need to be talking about this offensive line. We got to cover this story. Like, if you could, what's on your mind about the Carolina Panthers? Like, from somebody that's not not just the fan, like, what should we be asking? What's the story?
Man. I mean, I think the biggest question I have, it's not an unheard of question. Like, it's Sam Darnold, and what is he going to be? Can he get over the bad habits that have plagued him? It's not necessarily like, listen, I can ask that all day in a press conference, but it's like, yeah, I'm doing this. And like, we're going to find out over the course of 17 games whether he is able to overcome the bad habits that have plagued him throughout his professional career, even a little bit of his college
career. Young.
Yeah, and he is young, because I think if he can do that, man, he is going to be a good player for this team. But
is he the Carolina Panthers quarterback in 2023?
23? Oof.
Right, because next year we get him for not free, but like, we get it
right.
Like next year.
Certainly next year.
This
Even if they bring somebody else in, you're probably at least looking at him.
Is he the quarterback in 2023?
I'm not convinced of that.
Okay.
We've got 5 games. He played really well in 2 of them. Okay, in one of them.
Bad.
Right below average to poor in the other 2. So I'm not there yet. So I know it's not like an unheard of question, but to me, that's just like where it all sits. And if it doesn't work, that's when the heat goes up on Matt Rule. And, Scott Fitter and John Schneider in Seattle, man, they found their guy in round 3. But like, you know how hard that is to do?
Yeah, so, that doesn't happen. That's happened twice. We got Russell Wilson. We got Tom Brady. Like, we had to miss me with these answers about Tom Brady and this and that. Of course, it happens every now and then, but so does a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then too.
But swings and misses are going to add up.
Been fantastic. I actually
thank you guys for having me.
I think Sam Darnold is the quarterback in 2023.
That would be great.
I don't even like him. I don't even really love him. I have like media, like he's my new Delhomme. Like, I can't wait for him
that's
to
if
better than he's
if you still have a McCaffrey and you still have some of these weapons and you still have a good defense, like that can work.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like
better.
The jury is still out. Like, we just haven't seen enough, right? We've seen we've just seen easily his worst performance as a Carolina Panther, and now he has to respond and really do franchise quarterback type things, and behind a very bad offensive line too.
That's offensive.
We should note that. He doesn't have an easy task in front of him, rejuvenating his career. We thought the weapons would be able to help, but this offensive line has been a real hindrance in his progression.
I think we'll see more. I think we'll see more good Sam Darnold this year. The question is, how much of the bad will we see?
We also need him to kind of just prove everybody wrong, and this is why I would like is he's had some opportunities. Christian McCaffrey goes down. We don't have Christian McCaffrey. Like, he needs to assert himself behind a bad offensive line. Like, that's what it's going to take. Is like it's going to be
gotta elevate your play
overcoming this shit. Like, I don't want to hear no more Christian McCaffrey. I don't want to hear no more bad offensive. I want to hear Sam Darnold did this crap and got it done. Yeah, exactly. All right, fantastic stuff. Thank you so much for joining the Beatcheck.
Absolutely.
Nick Carboni, tell them how they can find your work and follow you on social media.
See, I'm on Twitter at Nick Carboni, WCNC, and you can always find me after Sunday Night Football talking Panthers. So we're on. We do a whole bunch. So
fantastic. Thank you so much for your time tonight, man. I know we milked it.
No, it's all good, man. It was fun. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to hang out here and close this up. Nick, again, check out the C3 Panthers podcast, the longest running one. If you want to hear what the fans are talking about, you need to listen to us.
I will.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank y'all.
Yeah,
All
man.
right, Cody, we've had a fun night tonight. I beat your ass in the debates.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, totally.
No, you didn't.
Totally. No, that's fun with Nick. Very insightful.
Great information, man.
Looking tight as a mug with the tie on.
Hey, he's official, man.
I know.
WCNC,
He's like,
they don't
I gotta
play
go
around.
on TV in 2 seconds. Looking great. Knows his stuff. Ask good questions too when it comes to because I always try to record in my mind who's asking the good questions in the press conferences.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of good insight there. And Sam Darnold is the question, right? Like, there's only 2 questions with the Carolina Panthers. There's only 2.
Quarterback and line.
Like there's no
quarterback
other
and
question.
line. That's 100% it. And we're still wondering about Sam.
It's so ridiculous because I feel like our content gets redundant. Yeah,
but
at the same time, like if you were like, what else is there to fucking ask?
No, it's not our problem that we get redundant if the Panthers are redundant. I mean, listen, I feel like I'm always
failures.
I feel like I'm always apologizing for I'm always bringing up Deontay Brown and Brady Christensen. Deontay Brown and Brady Christensen. I know I'm like a broken fucking record over here, but it is what it is, man. And I think it's listen, I think that we've seen enough to know that Matt Rule and Scott Fitterer, I believe, have some really outdated principles that they adhere to when it comes to playing younger players. No. Okay, listen, I was listening to that interview. How are you say
that after Ron
100%
Rivera era?
Well, I thought that it would be out the window at Ron Rivera, but what ended up happening
we're better.
We're still doing the same things, Tony. We're not playing younger players, and
we're
instead
playing
of veterans,
Cameron Artie's playing
with the greatest
running back in the history of the world under Matt
Running back is not our biggest position of need right now. What did we both just say it is? It's offensive line. And what was Ron Rivera's calling card? He would never play the younger players, and instead he would stubbornly go with the veterans that weren't producing up to task. I wonder if that sounds familiar in any way at all. Oh yeah, he's still going to chart out Cam Irving and Pat Elflein on the left side of that offensive line, and we're still going to stink. And we already know that this is going to happen. So, and then on top of that, Tony, today, we go back and forth debating in our Panthers creator chat. And I went and I listened to our interview with I went and listened to our interview with Joe Person, and Joe Person, he really doubled down on that part where he said, they're really picky about their measurements at certain positions. And if you're
and he said that on the Beatcheck on this show,
on this very show. So the fact that Brady Christensen, that they would be willing to take one of their better right tackles in the NFL, put him at left tackle where he hasn't been. You don't obviously see him there in the future. And they would be willing to put Brady Christensen at right tackle just because they think his arms are too short. How about this, Tony Dunn? Rashawn Slater, through 5 weeks of the NFL, is the best left tackle in football. He has shut down Chase Young. He has shut down Myles Garrett. He shuts down everyone. And this is not an indictment on J.C. Horn. I think J.C. Horn's going to be an incredible football player, Tony. But the fact of the matter is, these outdated principles are stopping us from playing our younger players, and it's causing us to pass on players that could otherwise be helping us right now. That's very concerning to me, Tony.
How are these outdated principles? Aren't these like, in many ways, like forward-thinking principles?
No, how?
Aren't they the analytics, the this and that? So what they're trying to say is this. These other guys would say, oh, I think Rashawn Slater's going to be awesome. Why? Because my gut tells me. My just eyeball test tells me. And then they're trying to give you measurements and statistical data, right? They're trying to play the next level. So we were told that this is about analytics. This is about this and that. So you can't all of a sudden love analytics. You can't love progress and then hate progress when you see it.
But it's not based on analytics. Arm length has nothing to do with analytics. It has
Clearly
nothing
it does. Then why do we measure
it? It has nothing to do with the success rate of whether or not someone's going to have some.
It's got to have one factor. It might not be the greatest factor, but it has to be a factor. That's like saying the 40 time doesn't matter.
But it's not the be-all, end-all that causes you to pass on that player if their film is otherwise showing you that they can do everything that you want them to do. Move up to the second level and block. They have a good kick set. They're agile. They're not vulnerable to a speed rush, the bull rush. All of these things Rashawn Slater was able to show on film. And yet it seems as though this one measurement thing, when it comes to his arms, is what caused them to pass on them. That's nothing to do with analytical data based on what Rashawn Slater
maybe that's what they're
did
using,
on
holding
the football
Deontay
field.
Brown back. Maybe they're using that. I don't know what they are. I'm trying to disagree with you for the sake of conversation. That sometimes I want to put somebody else. A job rule put this up earlier in the chat. Obviously, they see something we don't, or something to that effect. And you know what? We want to believe that. I do. Yeah, we're not at the practices. We're not this and that. But first of all, these bitches barely practice. I'm telling y'all, folks. So what, in the 2 hours more that they saw him than we saw him? That's one thing. But the other thing is people been telling me about these experts, about these GMs that know all this shit and this and that. And like, turns out we give way too much credit to people in positions of power. And it's not just in the NFL. It's not just head coaches and GMs. But these guys, yes, do they know more than us? Do they know? Yeah, a lot of them do.
Sometimes.
But sometimes we just say they do. Like, it's like saying this is, well, just because you're the president of the United States, you know more about this. Actually, no, you don't know shit about foreign policy with Afghanistan. Turns out, no, we both know nothing. I don't know more than you. We just both know nothing.
But Tony, remember after the Panthers released their videos that were like showing behind the scenes of their process, and I'm like, oh, that looks like everything that I've been doing for the past 2 fucking months.
What about when they had the draft board and they'd be like, and they would pull people together and they'd be like, well, what do you think? And it was like, hey, wait a second. What do you mean? What do you think? There's 5 of us just sitting around circle jerking saying, what do we think? Like, nobody pulled out no analytics. Nobody pulled in the specific. It was just like, it turned out to be just people in suits doing what we do on YouTube.
Man. And listen, it seems like an arrogant take to think that, oh yeah, I'm a fan, I could do that job. I can go in and step in and do it. But you know what? Sometimes some people fucking could do it. And you know what?
Or the people that are doing it shouldn't be doing it.
I have a big fucking head, Tony Dunn. You don't have to tell me that. I know that. But you know what? I believe in myself enough. I really do think that if I could get a job as a GM, I think I could do a good fucking job, man.
How about this? Is you couldn't be worse than, there's like 4 or 5 GMs out there that I believe you wouldn't be worse than.
Oh, dude.
How about that? Like, I'm not saying all of a sudden you might revolutionize GMing. Like, how about this? Is put me out there.
I could fix
as the GM or the coach. Would I be the worst coach ever that was? And I don't even know if I would be.
Probably not the worst. I mean, it might.
You know what? Good. Check my emails, motherfucker. I won't be resigning. You know what? You have to carry me out of here because I suck, not because my emails suck.
And hey, Sideshow Rob thinks I'd be better than Marty Herney. So appreciate you, Rob. We all know that. That's
not at first pick, but better than that. All right.
I'd be better at first picks too. I'd fix left tackle. That's for fucking sure, man.
You would have gotten Justin Herbert.
I'd have gotten.
You would have gotten Justin Herbert. Look, Cody last name would have gotten. He would have. Boom. This mug right here, all over it.
Yeah, all man.
Slater, all over. So actually, you know what? I ain't even gonna hate on you in that. I roll with you, bro. I
appreciate you.
I got your back.
To the end of the earth, man. C3, we're gonna be GMing this shit one day.
We are. We GMing this YouTube joint. We didn't ask Nick about Joe Brady. Like, that's the only thing I think that we didn't cover. Nah, I mean, because we are exhaustive on the C3 Panthers podcast. Check out our show last night, the Tuesday night flagship show, where it's like 70 callers, and yeah, man, dude, we're covering every, like, these mugs. I feel like people need to be calling us up for the beat check. Like, what's going on? Oh, we only had 70 callers or whatever it felt like for 4 hours. I mean, we'd be ripping these streets. We would turn no stone goes unturned.
No call goes unanswered on the C3 podcast.
Amen. Every patron is served. How about this? That's it. Debate I don't have anything else to talk about. I mean, I have plenty to talk about, but we got to save a little for like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because we be on the streets doing the thing. And so we did last night. We had the C3 Panthers podcast.
I mean,
yeah.
No, never mind.
I mean, we're just working girls. We working girls. I mean, we getting John Gruden's been sending emails about us to everybody on the internet.
Oh no. What did they call me? Some damn cripple who talks too much?
Nah, he was like,
which I am, by the way. I definitely
he just want to see your tits. Thanks, Triple J, for the $5 love bomb. Salute, fellas. Hire Cody for GM. Hell, we would at least have Justin Herbert. He's right. It's true.
Telling you,
were beating the table about it, man. So, you've been right on a lot. So I got your back on this, but I don't have your back when it comes to debates, because we film this show each and every week now. We're dropping it. I think it might be my new favorite joint. Debate My Take. I'm about to upload it right after this, so I'll premiere it about 10:45, 11 o'clock. You guys can check that out, where we debate a bunch of topics ranging from the best Quentin Tarantino video was our final one.
Best Quentin Tarantino movie. Yeah.
Video. I said video. I'm all up on this YouTube.
It's 2001, old man. No one uses VHS.
Who's got the best commercials? My kid goes, they're ads. What else we hit up in this? We hit up what were other topics?
If you were drafted into the NFL, what place would you least want to go to?
Oh yeah, what would be the worst team to go
to? We also Tony and I gave our own opinions on how to fix the offensive line and whether or not that's even possible.
It was even possible. Yeah.
I
won that one.
Can an elite quarterback overcome terrible offensive line play? Offensive line play. Can a good quarterback overcome it? Hey man, listen, we're having fun with these debate shows. It gives me and Tony an opportunity to be silly boys like we are. And
you gotta message us. You gotta message us. You hit us with the hashtag C3 debates. I think this is the new. We've been trying to figure out where this show is going. This like segment or bonus, whatever you want to call it. I think we're already on the right track right here, is that we're letting you pick the debates. So 3 out of 5 of the topics tonight were picked by our friends on the intranet. All you got to do is hit us up on Twitter, hashtag C3 debates. You can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Where can they find you at, Cody?
At Cody Lack, CODYLAC. You can find my written work on drafttech.com, where I am the analyst for the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, man, come holler at your boy. And then the Friday free-for-all, before I forget, how could I forget? My man Justin reminded me here, every Friday at 7 p.m., you, whoever you are, wherever you are, listening or watching, however you may be intaking the C3 Panthers podcast, you can come on Fridays and tell me just how good of a GM you think I'd be, man. Or come tell me that I'd be terrible at it, and I'm just a cheap discount Jon Snow. You can tell me that too. It's okay, man. The Friday free-for-all is all for you. Fridays at 7 p.m. And then, tonight you're going to see me mop the floor with Tony Dunn as I knock away all of his meaningless debate takes that he tried to hawk at me. So
Sorry, we're 1-1, folks. Right now, I won. According to the fans, I won week 1. I'm giving you. It was really a tie last week, but I'll give it to you. So we're 1-1 today. Tony pulls ahead, and go and look at these old C3 draft parties, which are dope as fuck. And I've never been happy with any pick. I don't think there's one pick that I was in love with.
The first time I ever came on the show was the night that the Panthers drafted DJ Moore.
That might have been one I was just okay with. I've been mad about Vernon Butler. I've been mad about Shaq Thompson. Not mad, but like, ugh. Kelvin Benjamin was the worst. Go back and watch my reaction to that. I wanted Allen Robinson. And guess who would have been right? This homie. And I don't even know who I'm talking about. Anyway, they are fun. But anyway, we had a good time tonight, and we be owning these streets, bro. We're doing a good job. We've been putting up a lot of content lately, and it's because of the response that we've been getting in the chat. It's the responses and views. You guys have spent a lot of time with us. Big shout out to Nick Carboni tonight for his time. Thank you, each and every one of you in the chat room. Yes, for the people that donate money, we never ask for it, but
it's always appreciated. Always. It's never not appreciated.
What we do ask for is for you to smash the thumbs up button, share the show, and tell one friend about it. I told a guy saw me at the bar a couple weeks ago. His name was Travis. We've known this cat for a long time. Just interacting with people, not knowing, like, we don't like hang out and a lot of stuff, but we've seen each other, we know each other's name. But he saw me wearing my shirt, my Panthers hat. He's like, man, I love the gear. And I was like, dude, this is my podcast right here. You need to check it out. He subscribed a few weeks later. He's like, dude, I listen to it all the time. So that's what we just need. It's just like one person, one thumbs up, one subscriber at a time. What are we trying to do? Are we doing this for us? Are we asking for money? Not at all. Because we
do it for the fans.
I just do it because I love hanging out with y'all fools.
Yeah,
I just love talking Panthers football and like this. This is like the coolest thing I can do.
And hey, your boys are on the road to 3,000 subscribers, man. Help us
close,
get there.
Bro. Be a friend. Like, we got like 200 in the last 3 weeks.
Be a friend. Tell a friend. We're trying to grow Panther Nation. Amen. We do this year round, y'all. Never
stop.
Year round. We're always here for you. We're always putting out killer
we
content.
Keep pounding.
We keep pounding. We never stop pounding. We always keep pounding.
Let's get out of here.
Until so tomorrow, be on the lookout. Tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna put out the Madden simulation with the Vikings. Friday, free for all, Friday at 7 p.m. And tonight, check out C3 Debate My Take. And I washed Tony's mouth out with soap for Mama Dunn. Keep pounding, y'all.
Get us out of here.